I didn't really have any interest in seeing The Rock's new movie, Red One. It just looked like a Christmas movie that I'd forget about 5 minutes after watching it. But then I saw an interesting headline that caught my eye. The Rock says Oppenheimer inspired him to film Red One for IMAX. It can be game over. Scratching at the hair on my chinny chin chin, I let out an actual Santa Claus belly laugh of ho 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 reading that, because The Rock has become such a pretentious douchebag. I made a video going over all of his embarrassing shenanigans and like all of the weird lies he keeps telling for the sake of like products and stuff. I feel like he's become less human and more of just like an actual flesh puppet for any product in the world that wants a mouthpiece. He also just plays himself in every single movie that he's in, and he's also in every single movie. The only actor that has been in more films than The Rock is Jack Black. Jack Black has become like the movie industry darling who they shoehorn into every possible film that they even ideate on. Like, I feel like at this point Jack Black is going to be cast for the voice in my head. It's just, between The Rock and Jack Black, they have more movies between the two of them than half the world has in total films produced. It's crazy. But I'm getting sidetracked. Point is, this headline had me so curious how The Rock with a straight face could compare Red One, a Christmas movie about him and Chris Evans punching snowmen, saving Christmas, to Oppenheimer. I feel like these two films couldn't possibly be more opposite. And now the movie has come out. It's not exactly doing extremely well when it comes to the reception here. It's not, going ballistic in the box office or anything. I just saw the movie, so I want to give you my review and tell you if I found the Oppenheimer influence in there. Spoiler alert, I did not. But before getting into like my thoughts on the movie, I want to go over exactly what he was saying in regards to Red One versus Oppenheimer. So it comes from this little sizzler here, where he did like a minute-long breakdown of why you should be seeing Red One in IMAX. I'd play the video, but it has music in it that I'm pretty sure is DMCA, so I'm just going to read the transcript of it. He said, "With Red One, our intention was to make a movie that you can enjoy on the biggest screen possible. Legitimately, the biggest screens possible, well, they're IMAX. I was midway through shooting Red One. I had an opportunity to go watch Oppenheimer, and I watched it in the IMAX theater where Christopher Nolan watches and screens his movies, him and Emma, his wife. I even asked, let me sit where Chris is sitting. So they said Chris sits here to enjoy the movie. So I sat where Chris sat. I watched Oppenheimer. It was amazing. But I was thinking, holy shit, this thing, Red One on this screen with this technology can be game over. I remember texting Jake, and I sent him a picture first of my bare chest, and then I sent him a picture of the screen. We just had a great conversation afterwards about just how cool it's going to be. It's going to be very cool." Wowee, what a story. A thrilling tale indeed. My heart breaks for whatever employees have to interact with The Rock to fulfill these fucking requests. Like, man, just take a seat. Why do you have to sit in the same throne that Christopher Nolan sits in to watch movies, man? Just sit there and watch a film. It just makes me roll my eyes reading something like that. I needed to sit where Chris and his wife sit, of course. I needed to wiggle my butt cheeks into the same ass creases that Christopher Nolan's cheeks graced. It's imperative to my viewing experience of Oppenheimer. And that's when I had my eureka moment. As I was sitting there watching Oppenheimer, great movie by the way, I couldn't stop thinking about my Christmas film, Red One. When the bomb went off for the first time in Oppenheimer, the bomb in my noodle went off at the same time, and I thought, IMAX, the big screen, watching St. Nicholas, Santa Claus, launch the reindeer on the big screen with me, The Rock, flexing with my polar bear sidekick. That could really be game over. It's just cringe. Bottom line is, it's just embarrassing to read that. And The Rock does this shit all the time. Anyway, though, I just got back from seeing Red One, so I want to give you my thoughts on it. Because I wasn't going to see it till I read this interview, and I just felt obligated to at least give it a chance if The Rock is loosely comparing it to Oppenheimer when it comes to IMAX experiences. I'll be honest, I went in there expecting this shit to be poop. The reviews were not being kind to it. And again, I wasn't very interested from the trailers. It just felt like a throwaway cash grab. Speaking of cash, this movie had a $250 million budget. Who greenlights this shit? Why? Why? Like, actually, what kind of galaxy gas are you huffing? That's craziness. $250 million for a Christmas movie that really no one has been asking for. It just makes no sense. I feel like there's absolutely some shady dealings going on when it comes to these budgets for something like this in particular, because there's no excuse for it. I think a large part of this money went to The Rock, Chris Evans, J.K. Simmons, Lucy Liu. It has a star-studded cast for no reason. It's a movie that I don't feel any of them even wanted to be a part of at all. Like, it really just feels like they kind of just phoned it in here. Like, there's nothing special, and yet it was $250 million, which means it is one of the larger budget movies that's been made. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean, for example, had less budget than fucking Red One. It's inexcusable. It is so gross. But at the end of the day, how was the movie? Was it good? No. Was it bad? No. It was just mid. As I expected, it was just a movie that was okay, and I will forget about by tomorrow, because it's just not very good. I'll at least say it was interesting. I haven't seen a Christmas movie this unhinged before. Like, I truly don't know who the audience is. I want to get that out of the way up top. I don't know who this movie is made for. It's a PG-13 movie, but it's like a harder PG-13. Like, they use their fuck in it. Yet, it's supposed to be like a family-friendly Christmas film, I think. At least sometimes it's trying to be. But like, I think it's too much for, like, toddlers, because Krampus is in here and he's like a demon guy, so they'd probably be really afraid of him and like all of the demon guys around him. Like, it's a little much for a kid to be sitting through, especially because there is like a lot of strong language like in the film, surprisingly. And yet it's also not good enough to be enticing for an adult audience, because the comedy doesn't work. The comedy is huge misses across the board. The comedy is not hitting. It is shitting big time. And also, the action is super weak. Like, there is some action here, but it's not good. Like, it's one punch, maybe two punches, and that's like an entire fight sequence. So it doesn't really have anything that I think adults will be entertained by either. It has impressive visuals, which, you know, thank God you would hope would be the case with $250 million. But again, there's nothing here that I think appeals to adults or kids. And I also think, like, the demographic in the middle is also not even going to be interested in seeing this at all, because it is just like at least it puts on the appearance of a family-friendly Christmas film and not much else. I don't know who this is supposed to appeal to. I don't. And it was pretty clear with the theater's attendance. I was there almost entirely by myself in one of the biggest theaters at the theater I went to. One of the biggest auditoriums. When I was picking out the tickets, there were only, I think it was 6 occupied seats, and I showed up late. So I got there at like 9:10, and the movie had started at 9, and thus I would imagine everyone who was going to see it had already got their tickets and was in there. There was only 6, I think, it was either 6 or 8, filled seats when I was getting ticket. That's crazy. $250 million, and you can't even put asses in the seats with this kind of star-studded cast. You have failed. And I think the age of, like, Hollywood superstars guaranteeing box office successes is long behind us, which I think is a good thing. But, I mean, damn, this was, like, shocking to me, too, because I thought it would probably still do decently with this kind of star power, but it doesn't seem like it will be. So, again, I don't know who the audience is. It seems like the audience doesn't exist in the first place. And even if there was an audience there, I feel like they'd still just be disappointed. It'd be a letdown. It's just not a very good movie. I will say it is interesting, though. Like, it is unhinged. So the concept is Chris Evans plays this superstar tracker hacker. He's like a dark web guy who gets hired by, you know, some weirdos to track people down that no one else can find. He gets an anonymous buyer who needs his services to find someone in the North Pole. So he hacks in there and he finds Santa Claus for our bad guys. And Santa Claus gets kidnapped. Now, Santa Claus, he lives in the North Pole with like a giant invisible dome that protects it so you can't just stumble across it. And when you go inside the dome, it's fucking Midgar. Santa Claus lives in Midgar from Final Fantasy. Like almost 1-to-1. He's like in Shinra Tower. It's I was stunned. Like, I felt like they had just lifted Final Fantasy VII like remake cutscene in there for Santa Claus's domain. And also, in Santa Claus's domain, there's like fucking aliens that live there. Like, there's aliens, there's sentient animals like the polar bear enforcer, there's like penguins that work for him as well, and they can all talk and communicate. There's trolls. Trolls live there as well, and like there's like a whole team of troll hackers. Like they are trolls who are like cybersecurity experts. There's like little goblin things. I was immediately very surprised with the direction this was going. So, I mean, credit where credit is due. I thought that was kind of cool and silly. Like, why the fuck are there aliens living with Santa? And I also did like their technology. They have unfathomable Warhammer 40k level tech at their disposal, which you can see like a little bit of in the trailer. So I thought those two things were cool. But aside from that, there's really not a whole lot else to like. Again, the visuals are cool, but the story sucks. The story's real bad. It's as predictable as you can possibly imagine. It follows exactly what you think it's going to follow from the very beginning of the movie. I feel like everyone who watches this is going to know exactly how it's going to play out, which I guess can be fine if the journey getting there is good, but it's really not. Like, I do like when the snowmen come in, because it's cool, right? And the snowmen have like an ice sword. I wish the fight was better, aside from like one punch and like one jab with the sword, but whatever. The Rock's got Ant-Man technology, so he shrinks and extends, and, you know, that's cool. But they don't really do a whole lot with it. Like, the fight scenes are super short. For $250 million, you might as well have just really gone hog wild with the action. Like, that could have helped elevate it, but they didn't really do that. But I do like, I guess, the sense of adventure, because you have the snowman there, and then they visit Krampus, who's doing a slapping competition, which, I mean, that's near and dear to my heart with professional slapping, of course, but that's also highly underutilized. There's only like 2 slaps that get thrown, and that's it. Like, come on. It's just, I feel like everything it wanted to do, it just did extremely lazily. It's all just so flat and soulless. Again, it's not even horrible. It's not even like a terrible movie. It's just such a bland and really misguided one. Definitely not up there with Oppenheimer, I can comfortably say now after having watched it. And yeah, I don't know what the Rock is smoking, to be honest with you. I can't smell what the Rock is cooking anymore, man. It's sad. But yeah, Red One is okay, I guess. It's just mid. I don't know why you'd see it, really. Like, I guess maybe if it was on streaming services and you just wanted some background noise for the holidays that's loosely related to Christmas, I guess that could fill that role. But aside from that, I don't know the point of it. I really don't. That's about it. See ya.